Ew,
Hey,
ew.
woo, USA.
Coming home. It's
That
coming home.
big
It's
scarf guy.
coming.
It's
Macy's Blake
coming.
coming
It's
home.
coming home. Not a huge scarf guy because I feel like it's terrible appropriation of people in countries where they actually wear scarves for one.
Where they need them.
But I do have this one that was given to me for free. So an
Hey, free shipping.
appropriate time to dust that off.
There we go.
America.
There we
That's
go.
right. You drink it in. You look.
You look.
That's right. You look at what is being consecrated here.
That's not an American Outlaws one, is it? It's just a generic
No,
USA.
it's a generic one.
Hmm.
But thank you guys for joining us on a Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. That was a nice little way to send off out of the weekend last night. Weirdly late, I thought it was. I mean, yes, there was some overtime, but it seemed like it maybe got pushed back. I don't know. I missed the first part.
It didn't help. There was extra time plus like another 20 extra minutes because the ref had no idea what he was doing.
And VAR twice.
And VAR
Uh,
twice, yeah.
Bottles and cans. Clap your hands.
Such a
Being
clap
thrown
your
all over the
hands.
field. Clap your hands. Where it's at. But we will get into all that. Thank you for joining us. Tyler, how was your weekend?
No, not too bad, man. It was definitely a lot busier sports weekend than I thought it would be. I kind of thought it would be just like a nice, easy one, a few little bit of playoffs, a little bit of watched a lot of
Yeah.
college softball World Series, enjoyed that. But it's a pretty busy sports weekend, pretty fun. Well, mostly fun, not so much for John Rahm. We'll get into that, but mostly fun sports weekend. Ronnie, how was your weekend?
That was good. Did also partake in some of the college baseball and softball. Shout out to ESPN with their squeeze play, like basically red
Yeah,
zone. Just the
yeah,
live look-in thing. They'll just cut away when some guy makes an insane diving catch or hits a grand slam or whatever it is. So that's kind of a cool way to watch it. Especially, I mean, they started doing that last week, when all the regionals started. Um,
right.
so working at home now, you just throw that on, and then you're just like, "Well, I'll see all the best parts of I'm not really super paying attention to this like Liberty Duke game right now. Like, I
What?
don't, I don't
How
really
dare
care,
you?
but if it comes on, then I'll see the best parts."
How
Um,
dare you?
well, that actually was a development after the weekend. R.I.P. to Connors,
Mm,
little Connors. They're gone now.
mm,
Probably for the best because he was a menace. He was terrorizing the streets of San Diego. And
true
Nick's
word.
arm and couch and house in general.
Pretty much
Uh,
anything within like a quarter-mile radius.
Anything that his inch and a half long legs would allow him to mount and take down. Takedown game strong though.
True.
Uh, and
Oh
yesterday.
no,
Uh
the
what happened?
Canadians just swept the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, I mean, losing your maybe your actual best player right now at the moment and your alternate captain for kind of gooning it up in a moment of
Mm,
rage in the first game will have that effect.
true.
Uh, and as we talked about, normally in the playoffs, they're very. You can still get suspended, but it'll be like a game, maybe
A
two, if
game.
it's
Yeah.
really bad. 4 games, he wasn't there for the final three, obviously, in that case. But got to play a little golf yesterday. Shout out to the
Nice.
Scrabester from
Scraby
the Morning Chris
Scrapester.
program,
Yeah.
Scrabster, friend of the program, and my buddy Greg, formerly of KSON, now living the life as a record mogul uh, on
Ooh.
tour. And then Boston Mike from JT's, also the homie. So a nice time out
Mm.
at Riverwalk. I haven't actually played 18 holes in a long time, so my back was a little sore. It's like, oh yeah, I guess you normally do have to take more like 100 shots, for me anyway, than the super. Also at the like pitch and putt over here in City Heights, maybe you're trying to hit it like 84 yards, like from the tee. So
Right.
you're not really going full bore, but that was fun and got back at home just in time to see about the last 30 minutes of the soccer game and then the extra time and the what have you that steadily devolved into. So let's start with that. Uh,
Okay.
Always a nice, and then we'll get
Mm.
into the negative soccer before we move on to the other sports. Uh, as Tyler already brought up, again, stressing me out, Landon. But big win. Yes, I know this is a new tournament, but to that I just say we've never lost in the finals. of a Nations
Boom.
League.
Undefeated in the
Come and
Nations League.
take it. Come and take it. At this point,
This trophy don't run.
that's right. This trophy does not run. It does not run. It kind of looked like styrofoam. Also, the trophy wasn't that cool, but
It really did.
it wasn't that great. But it always means something to beat Mexico in a final. Mexico, this is kind of like a B to C ish team. Maybe a B, but skewing towards a C. For USA, though, one of the rare times that we got all our European guys that are playing over there that are getting too many minutes to be called over for random like friendlies and stuff, all playing in the same place. As I pointed out again, these are going to be the guys either that you will be seeing in the World Cup or blaming for not making it into the World Cup. So it was nice to see all the good young players actually playing together at the same time.
I
Jaime
think
was drunk.
that entire game was drunk.
That game was drunk. That game was very drunk. Mexico, as you could see, scored in the first minute. All right, here we go. Gotta love it.
Man.
Gotta love it. Reyna gets on a loose ball. His first goal actually for the senior national team, so shout out to him. Definitely one of our big guys going forward. McKinney was just all over the place all game. I love McKinney. Arguably, to me, yes, Pulisic is our more transcendent, like attacking player guy, but McKinney is going to be like the warhorse in the middle of the field for the next at least decade. As far as going box to box, breaking up plays, also creating plays going forward. Reyna's goal was caused by him just hitting the post, and Reyna was right there just to knock it in. And then he comes up, 8 minutes left in the game, ties the game with the header. A nice jump on the header, by the way. I think McKinney's probably running maybe like 5'10" on a good day. He's not a huge guy, so he got some nice lift on that.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the positives that I took most out of it was U.S. definitely looked better on the set pieces. You can see the second goal by Mexico, Lainez, man, when that dude came on as a sub, he was just causing all kinds of havoc.
Yeah, he was causing problems.
But it was nice to see them respond real quickly after that Lainez goal. Then it goes into extra time, and that ref just instantly he lost control of everything instantly. Not carding things that definitely should have been carded. That probably would have been carded early in the game, but since it was extra time, I don't know if he was just like, man, I'm going to bury my whistle. I'm burying my cards. Like, I'm just not going to do anything.
It was the classic thing you see in a lot of sports, unfortunately. I mean, I'm usually within reason in soccer because, there is a lot of flopping and theatrics that goes on. So you do have to kind of show some discretion. But for the most part, in any sport, I'm of the belief if it's a foul in the first minute, it's a foul in the 119th minute, and pretty like obvious things going on besides also borderline becoming like an unsafe situation for the players, which they really did not have control over. And that's not all on him. It's one guy out there, but security and stuff really kind of dropped the ball on that, letting that get to that point. And it's always going to be chippy, USA and Mexico in whatever final it is, even if it's the legendary Nation Leagues Classic. I mean, the prestigious Nations League.
Yeah.
But
absolutely,
it was getting
every
sloppy.
kid's dreams of winning.
Usually, things like that too. You'll see, like, imagine like a preseason friendly. If there's a hard foul or something towards the end, they usually kind of blow out some of the extra time in that case, because then it's like, all right, someone actually might get hurt if this keeps going. Like, guys are already getting in each other's faces. A lot of face touching, of course, because it's soccer. A lot of passionate face touching, but then things getting thrown on the field. I mean, it was getting out of control. I don't like seeing these penalties come down to VAR. I'm sure the referee was thrilled to have the VAR so he could go over there and whether he called it or not, he could just blame it on that.
By the way, did you catch him red carding one of Mexico's assistant coaches while he was reviewing VAR?
Yes, I did.
I've never seen that happen before. That was pretty incredible.
But I will say, looking at the two penalties that were given because of the replay, I thought they both were penalties. I mean, they should have been
Sure.
penalties. Like any point in
Sure.
the game, they would have been penalties. The guy just basically cut off Pulisic. I mean, just got in his way, just like blocked him. And then it was an obvious handball also on the one that Mexico got. So, look, both teams had a chance to well, USA took the lead with theirs, and Mexico had a chance at a penalty. Guardado, it wasn't a great penalty, I'm not going to lie. Didn't really commit to going too far to the side. I mean, like a 3/4 penalty is not great. It's almost like worse than just trying to trick the goalie and go right down the middle when you know he's going to go one way or the other. So he didn't really tuck it into the corner, but Horvath made a great save. And shout out to Horvath as well. Coming in
He was
cold
awesome.
when Stefan cramped up. I haven't heard anything about if there's any more effects of his injury. Also, then pretty clearly, I mean, it was a yellow card. Imagine that. Like, it was pretty obvious that it was a yellow card. The Mexico guy coming in late, just sort of just getting his spikes into him a little bit, like right in the chest. And that guy probably should have got sent off a little bit later for what I thought was another obvious second foul, where he did not get any of the ball and just came in way late and reckless. But credit to Horvath. I mean, in all of his maybe in real time, what ended up being like an hour and a half out there, but in game time, maybe like 31 minutes out there,
Right.
he played his balls off, and he made a couple really nice saves in the run of play. Actually, I have the video, and I had time to frame it up, so don't sue us, don't block us. But the call, and I don't have CBS Sports Network here, so I was watching it all the way on Telemundo.
Silva Piti, de pierna izquierda viene Andrés Guardado, le pegó.
That was a big play, and it was unfortunately it just got super devolved there at the end. A lot of inappropriate things from fans, and players were hamming it up and just doing a little too much. But like I was telling Tyler, even if this is I won't say it's totally made up because they're going to continue to do it, but it is a new trophy that doesn't really mean anything. But there's a couple times that you can look back in the Team USA men's program where beating Mexico in like an elimination game or a final, or if it's a Gold Cup, specifically, it just kind of felt like the 2002 World Cup, because there was a lot of young guys on that team. That was like the emergence of Landon, Beasley. It was a little bit before Dempsey came around, but just sort of like, oh yes, we look, Mexico, as Jaime pointed out, even the B and C team is deeper than the USA A team, probably. Like at the top of the line, USA is going to be more talented there, but just the factory of good players that continue to come out of Mexico, it still means something. And it seemed like after the 2002 World Cup, when they knocked them out in the round of 16, the 2007 Gold Cup when they won in the final, that kind of helped the program moving forward, just for the mental aspect of like, look, we don't have to just stand around and be like dazzled by these guys. Like, we could play with them. So it takes away some of the fear. Like, I thought when they went into extra time, it was a really young American team, and they were kind of just like, I don't want to be the guy that blows it. So then they kind of were back on their heels a little bit, which I thought was going to lead to disaster. But they made just enough plays, and Horvath, like I said, was standing on his head, just being that wall back there coming in off the bench that they needed.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily have a problem with the U.S. playing back on their heels is like if they showed some sort of like willingness to go out on the counterattack, but they weren't even doing that. So in that sense, I agreed with you. It's like, okay, if they just keep playing back like this, like Mexico's going to put one in the net eventually. But U.S. did enough, got the win, man. I mean, it's, something we can't say happens a lot. So definitely happy to see that. Happy to see, some of the young guys that are going to be on this team for the next 8-10 years, getting goals, leading the way.
And
Hey.
getting familiar with you're going to be seeing a lot of these guys on the Mexico team quite a bit as well,
Mm-hmm.
U.S. players.
Yeah.
So they, it was a lot of their younger guys as well. So just like I said, more of a mental thing. I feel like that's good for the program as far as like, yes, it is possible to beat these guys. And I even told Tyler, like, it's still not a guarantee they're just going to win. Like most of the time, they probably will still lose. And, if it's a qualifier, it's probably going to be at Azteca, which the conditions are totally against you as a visiting player from any country, the altitude, the fans, everything about it. But it's nice just to see. I think the average age of this team was like 23 years old. Just to have that little bit of a wind in the sails. Like, look, we have beaten these guys in a final. We know the game is, unfortunately, hopefully not always going to be that crazy, but it can go that way in a hurry. So just having that experience, I think, is going to be invaluable going forward for the U.S. men.
And Justin, just to answer your question, that comment.
It's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed.
It's never guaranteed. It is never guaranteed. But a nice little nugget to go out on the weekend of sports there, especially being like the latest thing on. I was like, yeah, Steve, this is very satisfying right now. Way to end the weekend.
Yeah, and hopefully they can keep this momentum going. I know them and the U.S. women's team both have some friendlies coming up the next couple of weeks in preparations for their next tournaments. The men's team has the Gold Cups at the beginning of July. Of course, not the Olympics because they couldn't qualify for that. But that's where the U.S. women's national team comes from because they actually come through when they're supposed to. So looking forward to more soccer going on. Again, friendlies for the rest of this month and then big tournament starting next month.
And on a much worse note, in my personal soccer world, Landon, what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? Pay special attention here to how Phoenix tied this game. There was a 2-goal lead for San Diego.
Times of the scores.
I don't know. I don't know what to believe anymore.
I didn't tell you this part over the weekend, but as soon as the game was over, I did send you and Nick, both a text of, what the hell's going on here. I was keeping track of the score at about the 87th minute. I pulled my phone out and was getting ready to type something. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I don't think they're going to blow this, but I don't want to jinx it yet. So I put my phone away. Lo and behold, they blew it anyways.
You can't. It's not guaranteed. It's never guaranteed. Even 7 minutes after extra time. God. So I will, pretty. Again, it's not guaranteed, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up back in the hospital if I continue to follow this team. Yeah.
the leading team pulling their goalie. I like that idea.
They needed that extra attacker. Obviously, they did.
It's a bold strategy, just didn't pay off. That's it, man.
Is there a way they can just take off, like, actually one of the attackers and play with 2 goalies? Because I feel like maybe that would be better.
That might help.
I don't know if that's cool with the rules of the league or not. I have to check. But
look, bro, it's 11 men on the field. All right, come on.
So, man, 1-5. Yeah, I blame myself for not betting against them, as I should have. As I clearly should have.
But you didn't do your part.
I didn't. I definitely did not. I let the team down.
I also did.
Yes,
the whole time I was laughing.
Club Tijuana.
There we go. Now, the whole time I was laughing to myself, of course, Ryan and I noted Heat, fans of the movie Heat. And the whole time, every time I looked at the opposing team score, I was just, hearing Al Pacino, by the time I get to Phoenix, She'll be rising.
She'll be rising. She's got a great ass. And you got your head all the way up.
All the way up. When I think about a women's ass, something just comes out of me.
Oh, man. If I had
All the while
4
Hank
hours
is,
to sit down and watch Heat, I would watch it right after this show.
all the while Hank Azaria is sitting there staring at him, just befuddled because that whole thing was improvised.
Is he going off script? Just let him roll. Just let him roll.
Just let him go.
This was before the days of digital film. You know, they can't just delete it. I mean, it's actually on film, so they gotta keep the best stuff out of Al there.
That's right.
But yet another transformative appearance from Al Pacino. That was really when he's just transitioned into like all he does is yell now. Like,
AKA best Al Pacino.
just full blown. Ah, loyal. Like I said, I'm going to add to the shirt until I am proven wrong. So send in your suggestions for the next line down. As you can see, I might have to make more room at this point because this is getting pretty bad. It's getting real bad.
Tough times.
Let's hit some of the basketball here. The Clippers, we actually did it. They actually got out of the first round. They beat the Mavericks after going down 2 games. So showing some heart there. I did think sort of the load managed Kawhi was kind of the positive effects of that were showing. I think he had like 3 or 4 dunks in that game, which you don't really see him just slashing and attacking the basket like that. Fresh legs.
No tired legs. Yeah.
But it's still going to be tough for them against Utah. Obviously, Utah does have the home court. I like both of these series. It sucks as a Laker fan that they're not going to be participating. But obviously, AD and his Bambi legs cannot tolerate 2 years of deep playoff runs. So I think, exception of the Nets and on a day, maybe the Bucks. These are, and the Sixers, I guess, are still there, depending on Embiid. But 4 of the best teams in the league. So looking forward to some good conference semifinals here in the West.
Yeah, and the thing I like most about it is, and maybe this is just coming from a small market fan, is that we're going to have a new champ. Maybe not like new. A few teams have won a title before, but I'm talking like not since the 70s or 60s. We're going to have a new champ. Like NBA is not necessarily a league of parity. It's, I think in the last 30 years, there's been 10 franchises that have won the title. And so we're going to have somebody new in that rank. So I definitely like that. Looking forward to seeing who comes out of there with the win there.
And a lot of good, young, exciting players. Potentially, I believe Tyler agrees with me. The MVP of the league will be the Joker. Denver's probably the longest shot of these 4 teams left, but still, nice to see him still playing. So this is going to be a dogfight, I think, down to the end to see who we get in the conference finals, and that should be a good series as well. There's still always that specter of the Clippers out there where they could just totally go full Clippers, and I don't even know what happened. Oh, it's the Clippers. I forgot. It's the Clippers.
Well, you and I, Nick, we're all talking before the show, and I made my claim. I think at some point in time, the Clippers will have more wins of the series than Utah. Maybe they'll be up 3-2 and find a way to blow it.
Still not guaranteed. Also, I do like Justin's suggestion. That might be the next line on there. For no more than 90 minutes. As
That's true.
The contract dictates, obviously.
That's right.
You had it and you blew it. God.
Nothing in here about extra time.
Nick likes the Jazz in 6.
Okay.
Quite possible. I mean, they are the number 1 seed.
I could see that.
I'm inclined to agree also with Jaime. Could be fascinating. The Clippers, always that underachieving team, just always the Clippers. But you don't know what to get when they actually kind of show some heart and some balls and come back and win a series after going down 0-2. So maybe they finally realize, like, some of what this hype on this team was supposed to be.
Well, it'll definitely be a different series, because the Jazz aren't so much reliant on one player like Dallas is. So it's not a case where like, okay, we can let this one guy score and shut everybody else down. It's like, no, we're gonna have to guard all 5 guys on the court at all times because Utah will spread that ball around, get get some production from all 5 players and guys off the bench. So definitely a different series for the Clippers.
Hey, after 2 losses, Ty Lue is the best coach of the NBA. So
That's
watch
true.
out.
That's true.
He'll figure
It's
it
the
out
greatest.
once he cracks the code. And then taking a look at the East, the Hawks with the win yesterday, really never even in question. I mean, they were up by like 25 points at certain points in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And Embiid, with we all know partially torn meniscus, it's gonna literally be like a day-to-day. Like some days it's just gonna be like puffed out, hurting, whatever, not feeling good, and then the next day it could be fine, and it could just go back and forth like that. So we'll see what happens there. And Brooklyn just continues on the warpath. As I think I saw Justin, yes, checking it. Yes, Durant still really good at basketball. Even with Harden expected to miss another game,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't really matter at this point. It looks like they are going straight to the conference finals, and still could be a good series because the Hawks are just really hot, and Philly was the number 1 seed throughout the whole season and played them pretty well during the regular season. So, it remains to be seen what version of the Sixers we would see when they got there. But I think at least for the conference finals, and even in this Hawks-Sixers series, we're going to have a good series there.
Yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised by Atlanta's performance yesterday. I think Trey really got motivated by Embiid coming out with Triple H doing the DX entrance.
Break it down.
I posted a GIF of Trae Young's response after he saw that was Batista doing the thumbs up and thumbs down right before he powerbombs Triple H through a table. So yeah, I think there's a little extra motivation there. But man, these Hawks, they're fun. Like I kind of didn't expect either them or the Knicks, whoever won that series, to even win a game against Philadelphia. But Trae Young, he's a young Marlowe. He's a Marlowe. He just doesn't care.
He doesn't
care. He's just out there like, oh, you're the top dog? All right, cool. I'm going to drop whatever, 30 on you, like nothing. So it's I'm really liking this Hawks team.
And unfortunately, I am still kind of keeping that in the back of my mind because I feel like, yes, it's this hot streak, but it's just seeming more and more like the Nets just knew, like, we don't all have to play together. Like, Kyrie's taking a sabbatical. Who knows what's happening? Like, we'll get Harden over here. Durant was hurt, so no one ever played together. But it's just like, hey, we get to the playoffs. We just flip the switch. And it kind of seems like that is what's happening right now. But, yeah, the Hawks are – the thing is just like, can they just keep shooting like that? I mean, Trae Young, yes.
Probably not.
The rest of them, too. Like, they're just
Probably
shooting.
No.
Every time, like, the other team makes, like, one of those little, like, 6 or 7 point mini runs. It's just, like, dagger threes. Like, they always have an answer. And I don't know if they can keep going to that well like that.
No, they probably can't, but fun to watch it while they can.
Yeah, we'll ride it out until the wheels fall off. Moving on to the NHL. They did announce today that there is an agreement in place to cross the border now. So
right.
They worked that out with the Canadian government. Although anyone coming from America still has to be quarantined. So that could be kind of a weird dynamic. I mean, just as it pertains to the NHL, they're going to have to stay in isolation at whatever hotel or, wherever they put these guys up at. Islanders, I think they won again tonight.
Yeah, this is updated. So yeah, they won tonight. Okay. They're up 3-2.
I did see that incredible video of the one Islanders guy at the Boston bar, wherever they were watching that, just violently calling out everyone in the bar. From the front row, that was pretty good. I wanted to get the video of that, but I didn't have time. But language also. So
of course,
I can't I can't condone the language, but I do condone the video and the sentiment because screw Boston. But that was pretty entertaining. Looks like they're holding it down. At Boston, they did come back with 2 goals that I saw, but the Islanders were up by maybe even 4, but at least 3 at one point in the third period.
It was 5-4 was the final. Boston made a comeback, but fell up a little bit short.
The Golden Knights bouncing back after going down 0-2 to tie that up.
Did they?
That looks like it's just going to be a straight banger all the way to the end, that series, where especially, as you can see, home ice is making a huge difference for either team. Then moving over to the other side of the bracket, again, Lightning seem to, I think they're got this pretty much wrapped up. And even though, shout out again to the excellent Hurricane social media and their roasting of the Predators. They will be missed. And then the Canadians. We talked about it on Friday's show. I mean, the Jets arguably pretty much just losing your best player at the moment anyway in the first game of the series. He is not going to appear again because they're knocked out now. So I think that just went final right before we went on the air tonight. With the Montreal
right when we started, Montreal scored the winning goal in overtime, so they are through to the semifinals.
Well, good luck. Now you got to play some Americans. We'll see how that goes. Well, I mean, it's still going to be mostly Canadian guys, but that live in America. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Look, Canadians are on a nice run, though. I mean, that makes 7 wins in a row because they were down 3-1 to Toronto, and now they come out and sweep Winnipeg. But yeah, it'll be interesting. Like this next round is where it gets interesting because everybody's only been playing teams within their division all season and throughout the playoffs. So this next round is where you finally get to mix up and see, like, all right, how are we against not the same 7 teams
that we have? Yeah, no tape on. I mean, you can watch them playing against other teams, but there's no like, oh, this is what they did that worked against us, when we played them. Kind of reminds me of like the old school, like baseball playoffs and World Series, where you would just get like they would not have played at all until they meet in the World Series.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I mean, like you said, I'm sure Tampa's probably going to close this one out. I think they play tomorrow. I'm sure they're going to close that one out. Then the other 2 series probably could both come down to Game 7s. I mean, I will have a chance to close in Game 6, but I think those other 2 series are definitely going to be much more competitive than what we've seen from this lower part of the bracket.
But yeah, it does. It adds, unfortunate because of the circumstance of why they had to do that, but it does add a little more intrigue now that teams that did not have a chance to really play each other at all during the season are going to get together in these high leverage series. Let's briefly take a look at the ponies. Belmont.
Let's do it.
Was this weekend. I did actually bet on Rombauer just because he had very favorable odds. I love to bet the long shots, but
gotcha.
He wasn't there. But it cost me $10, whatever. And it was like plus 2,000 when I bet on him.
Now still we got the winner. We got the winner, Essential Quality, who was definitely the favorite. I think the morning line was 2-1, closed at 1.3-1. So
yeah,
favorite goes out there and wins. Not that doesn't necessarily make it exciting. Plus, I mean, it was already kind of down for the Belmont because there was no shot at a Triple Crown winner, so that kind of already takes the breeze out of that race, anyways.
And as I pointed out, I just hope Bobby Baffert was watching from some seedy off-track betting somewhere, just seething the entire time. Girl!
He was at the border of like either Pennsylvania or New Jersey, just like, ooh, I wish I could. Ooh, I wish I could.
The closest he was legally allowed to be to the racetrack.
Yeah.
Thank you, NYRA, but for shutting down this monster. But yeah, always the shine comes off, especially that's sort of the Belmont's lot in life. Unfortunately, being the third leg when there's no Triple Crown, then you're going to see the TV ratings go down. Probably the amount of betting and stuff going down as well. But weird. Like it was good for a day or two, but overall, you'd probably have to say a bad Triple Crown season for the sport because of the look of it, the optics. So we'll see what happens next year. I'm sure Baffert's going to work that out and be able to. We'll always have that, though. We will always have that. I'm sure we'll see him again racing in the state of New York somehow, some way.
Or see him at the gym repping 6 plates.
Yeah, just racking them.
Yeah.
In other racing news, we did have NASCAR out at Sonoma, another road course. Elliott, as we talked about, he is sort of the every time they go to a road track, he's the favorite. As a favorite at plus 130 in NASCAR is insane to me. He did come insane. He came second, but America's sweetheart again, Kyle Larson, did get the win. Definitely a capable driver and has had excellent cars all year. I will say that. Sonoma's actually the only NASCAR Cup race I've ever been to in person. So kind of cool, but it is different than watching at an oval because you can only really see like their little section of the track that you have a seat at, and then they come back like a minute and a half later, like what happened?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for a little bit, I don't know, more exciting of a finish because they did go green, white, checkered just because the NASCAR overtime rules how they do that. But Larson kind of held Elliott off pretty well throughout the whole final 2 laps. So he ran with it. And like you said, he's had a pretty damn good car almost all year. Maybe an odd race here and there where he finishes out of the top 10, but for the most part, Larson's been there all year, man. He's I kind of had my doubts on him, just taking a whole year off and come back. I didn't know how he'd respond, but man, he's been great.
Well, I think the first thing that jumped out to me was how quickly he got a ride back on a big team. Was like, all right, everyone knows this guy's just a good driver. Like, good enough to will choose to look the other way on his dickheadedness because we just want to win races. So usually that's how it goes in most sports. But he's been strong all year. And like I said, for these NASCAR guys that do also run seemingly as well on the road courses as they do on either the short ovals or the big super speedways, Talladega, whatever, it is a sign of just a good driver. I mean, a lot of these guys they're all good drivers. I mean, you wouldn't be there, but more slanted toward, like you see a lot of guys that only race on the road courses sometimes for some of these other, or like what they're doing in IndyCar with Tony Kanaan and Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. One takes the road tracks, one takes the oval. So it's kind of a specialized thing. So to be good at both is impressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do want to talk about the memorial. This was just one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. John Rahm just lapping the field after Saturday, and really just more of like the way that it went down, I thought was the unfortunate part of all of it, because every sport is still trying to deal with like even just putting events on in some cases. Like we were just talking about, NHL still had to like negotiate this thing that I think just got approved like today while they're deep into their playoffs, just to figure out like how's the border crossing going to work. Like we want to finish our playoffs. So still a lot going on with that. I mean, here in California, it's still not going to be full capacity anywhere until the 15th. So it's still out there, like dealing with the state and local governments and things like that. John Rahm, as he walks off the 18th green with a 6-shot lead, like no one was going to catch him. Had a hole-in-one earlier in the day. I mean, he was just rolling them. The officials come up to him and let him know that he did test positive and he has to withdraw. Just right there. Especially, again, another one of those, like, it's not a major, but it's like a second tier, regarded almost like a major, the memorial. Yeah. And the money, which first prize is $1.6 million. And I don't know. I mean, he did make the cut, as the Baron pointed out, so he's probably going to get some kind of money. But if you withdraw, I don't know if you get any money. I don't know how that works. I don't know the rules on that. But here's the video. Yeah, it was just a surreal moment. Just, ongoing list of weird things that we've seen in the sports world because of this pandemic.
I don't want any of it. Okay, let's Let's go wait. Let's go wait. Wait, not again. Let's go wait for the green. All right, then, yeah. What's going on?
All right. Dottie, is there any other information down?
There is, and I have confirmed it through the PGA Tour that Jon Rahm has tested positive for COVID-19.
That means he will have to withdraw from the tournament.
And you could see, I mean, even the Dottie Pepper there, kind of like the sideline reporter for CBS. She's a former pro as well. She reported it, like as a pro, but even she knew the gravity of the situation was like, man, this guy clearly was going to win. And now he's just out like that. Like the 5 seconds of like, hey, but you can't come back now. Sorry, you're out.
Yeah, just a really kind of surreal moment when it happened. Like I wasn't watching it. You had texted me just saying like, dude, this Jon Rahm situation is weird. And I didn't know what was going on. And all of a sudden I turn on ESPN and I can see the headlines just like Jon Rahm forced withdrawal. Of course, they say, of course, the health reasons first. And then it says, had 6-stroke lead going into final round. I'm like, God, man, that is just, that's brutal. That's just, and then I saw the video and just absolutely devastating reaction to see.
I mean, I don't know the procedures in place or anything like that, but it seems like, and I'm sure, they wanted to double check and make sure it wasn't like a false positive before they like just dropped the news on this guy. It just seems like they could have like flagged him as he's like walking down like the 15th or 16th fairway, like just getting his ear, maybe like kind of off to the side, just retire. Like Jon Rahm's not going to finish the round. We'll have more info later. Mm-hmm. But walking off of the 18th green after you're just like boat racing everyone, and then not even just like international TV, just like blowing up right in your face. That's kind of really a kick in the balls.
Or even if you didn't have those results until he was on the 18th, like wait till he gets back to the clubhouse. Like let's not do this like right off the 18th green.
He was like 10 feet away from where he just holed out, and then they just like dropped the hammer on him. Like, yikes. So that was a pretty just surreal moment to see. Cantlay did get the win. I'm not going to say it was, I still think Rahm would have won, but he played good golf all weekend as well. And the newly minted recipient of $1.6 million. So one man's devastating misfortune works out for Patrick Cantlay.
Yeah, Cantlay beating Colin Morikawa in the playoff. I think this is Cantlay's second Memorial win in 3 seasons, so tends to do well there. I mean, but again, it would have taken a Jon Rahm just complete falling apart for him to lose this tournament. So I think kind of people always say he won it, but didn't win it. I don't know.
That sucks for him too. Like I said, he played well. Really, because that's going to follow him around, and it had nothing to do with him, It's just like one of those things, like wrong place, wrong time, that it's going to be associated with this win. But
like you said, I'm sure he'll be happy with $1.6 million.
He can dry his tears with the $1.6 million.
Yeah, instead of the $800,000 or whatever he would have gotten for second place.
Yeah. But yeah, just seeing it play out like that was just kind of like, is this really happening? And then you could see like the initial reaction on social media, Twitter, whatever, was like they didn't know what the news was that he was getting right there. So you like, did a family member die? Or like we don't know, what is going on. And then it's just like, no, they're just ripping him out of the tournament because of the test result.
Yeah, real weird.
Let's before we get out of here, you have to check in with the fight doctor. I had a fight night and we had something else, whatever that was. I don't know what to call that. We don't necessarily have to speak on that, but let's check in with the fight doctor and at least take a look at this UFC.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. The heavyweight champion of the world.
There you have it. The fight doctor is in. As we take a look at the card here. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all good. So yeah, we did have a fight night here this week, and I kind of talked about it before. I didn't think it was going to be an overly exciting card. It's just kind of the calm before the big pay-per-view, and was kind of proven right. Most fights I saw weren't very exciting. Here we have the co-main event heat map here, the heavyweight bout between Walt Harris and Marcin Tybura. Tybura gets the win by TKO, 4 minutes and 6 seconds in the first round. This fight happened. It was a typical Walt Harris fight where he just went all out from the get-go, just swinging like a madman, trying to get the quick knockout. And then when he doesn't get the quick knockout, he just kind of turtles up and gives up. Tybura got on top, threw some punches. Harris wasn't really trying to fight out of it, and eventually the ref stopped it. Disappointing for Harris. Again, I talked about it on Friday, kind of the stuff he's gone through in his personal life the last few years that, makes it really easy to root for him just because of the tragedies. But this is his third loss in a row.
It's never a good spot to be in the UFC.
Yeah, that's typically kind of like the cut point for the UFC. The only thing I think the thing he has going for him is because he starts out so wild immediately, like he's kind of more exciting. So Dana will kind of hang on to guys like that a little bit longer. So maybe Harris will get another shot, but we'll see what this does for Tybura. I mean, I got to imagine that's going to put him in the top 10, get him some higher quality opponents here. He did well to survive the storm. I will absolutely give him credit for that. Like you can see there, his body and head are a little bit yellowed up. He definitely ate some shots, but survived and got the win there. Then we had the main event, which was a heavyweight bout between Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Augusto Sakai. Rozenstruik getting the win by TKO with 1 second left in the round.
Another hot Cheeto head. You know what that means.
I will say, even though this fight ended with a TKO, this was a really dull fight. It was 4 minutes and 50 seconds of nothing. And then Rozenstruik started throwing a few punches when he got Sakai against the wall. The one that dropped Sakai didn't even look like that great of a punch, but that could just be, show you the power that Rozenstruik has. Dropped Sakai. Ref stopped it again with 1 second left. I saw some people, online clamoring this has to put Rozenstruik up with top 3. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think top 5 maybe, but he's definitely not top 3 better. He's still got some stuff he's got to show and prove. But again, good win for him. This will definitely bump him up. He'll probably get a co-main event on a big pay-per-view now, or maybe another main event on a card like this. So you're not trying to completely discredit the guy. It was just, pretty dull fight, and I still think he's got a lot to prove before he gets put into that title scene.
I mean, it's good, at least from the standpoint, like you said. Yes, kind of a dull fight, but if you get a knockout when you're on the main event of one of these fight nights, it usually bodes well to latch on to maybe 2 or 3 pay-per-views from now, or, you start getting some better opponents, a little bit higher profile promotion and stuff like that. 1 second left in the round also. That was kind of funny to see. But and then sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying again, I definitely wouldn't say go out of the way to watch this. I'd say this is a pretty skippable card, but we'll talk more about it later in the week. But again, it was all a build-up for the big pay-per-view this week in UFC 263. We got middleweight title fight, the rematch between Adesanya and Vettori. We got a flyweight title fight between Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno. And, of course, a welterweight fight with Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz. Anytime a Diaz is on the card, it's going to be good. And again, I'll talk about it more later in the week, but I kind of looked at the full card for a pay-per-view top to bottom. It's actually a really good card. They usually kind of try to sell it on a couple big fights, and then the rest of the card's a little iffy. But I think top to bottom, they've actually got a really good card lined up for this pay-per-view.
I can only hope that somehow they can coordinate it, because I know he's probably going to be at an event. But, obviously these guys have access to private planes. Come on, Bryson. Get there ringside. Support the Valley Boy.
That's right.
Another Valley strongman.
That's right.
You like to see them, supporting the scene.
Yeah, hopefully he'll show up with one of the green V's that Fresno State wear on their helmets.
Or it could roll up in this. I don't know. Tyler brought this to my attention, which was on the Bakersfield subreddit today. There it is. That's Bakersfield for you. I mean,
Bakersfield, baby.
Drink it in. The pageantry.
You look at it.
Why you can't look away? I mean, what else is there to say? Oh dear.
I guess we can address it. You know, I will fully say, like, I didn't watch it. I've said it on here before. I care so little about the Paul brothers that I won't even tune in to watch them potentially get beat up. But from everything I read about the Mayweather-Paul fight, it went exactly as I thought it would, a.k.a. Mayweather doing nothing. I mean, what do you expect? You know, when they came out and said, like, there's going to be no decision, there's going to be no winners or losers, like, what did you expect?
Yeah, pretty much exactly that. So I guess to recap, a 50-year-old Floyd Mayweather hugged a YouTube guy for an hour on TV, and people paid for it, I guess, somewhere.
Also, yeah, think about, like, just think about, you know, there's a reason weight classes exist in boxing. Like, you're looking at a 50-year-old guy fighting a 20-something-year-old guy, and the 20-something-year-old guy also has 50 pounds on him. Like,
and that,
yes, that's like watching, you know, the most recent Creed movie and seeing, like, Creed and Drago's son are supposed to be, like, in the same weight class. And Drago's kid is like 6'5", 260, just jacked.
Just throwing at the screen. This doesn't make any sense. Ridiculous.
So yes, unfortunately, yet another step towards boxing's eventual death.
Hate to see it. Good job, UFC, though. Just putting on fights every weekend. Actually having some kind of organization to where you know who is actually the champion, at least at some point.
Right.
That's also appreciated. But yeah, boxing. Maybe the guys that are good, let's make sure they actually fight each other in their primes and keep the sport somewhat alive. But that was a thing, and it's obviously going to continue because boxing has just become like the stunt event sport of record, unfortunately.
Oh, it's going to be sad. We just have a card full of nothing but YouTubers. Boxing.
Yeah, it's coming.
I've said this before. Look, I will give the Paul brothers credit for this. Like, they actually do take their boxing training seriously. Like, they can box.
Yeah, they're not showing up just like in terrible shape. I mean, it looks like they're obviously, you know, being pretty disciplined with the ramp up and the training and everything.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they're training 5 days a week, maybe even doing like Psycho Saturdays where they're doing, you know, 20 rounds of boxing. But you know, the fact that they're still not boxing legitimate boxers, legitimate current boxers under like official rules, it's like, all right, like, come on,
just
man.
lets
like,
you.
I still can't take you seriously as a boxer when you're fighting, you know, KSI. Like, come on.
I guess, I mean, the only thing I could say is they're certainly not too old for boxing, and you know, they seem to be pretty committed to it. So I don't know if they just need, hopefully not that many more of these to build confidence, but like actually try to fight someone legitimately that is a in shape, conditioned boxer, not for like a shameless money grab that these all have been so far.
And not Nate Robinson.
Yes. But we'll leave you on that. We will get back with you on Wednesday. Thank you for joining us, hitting us in the comments. Someone could end up seriously hurt. That's right. If they, God forbid, they fight an actual, like I said, in their prime boxer. Look out. Yes. And just even a 70-year-old Bernard Hopkins. I mean, that's a dangerous man. There's a man I hate to fight.
That's true. He's at least still an active boxer, so I'd have a little bit more respect if they fought him.
But we'll just see how far devolved this can end up going. I don't know. I don't care.
Heard one of the Pauls challenge Jack Dempsey to a fight.
Yeah. Where's he at? I want Dempsey. I'm calling you out. But thank you guys again for joining us. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, CEO Nick was on. God, I don't even want to say keep the faith. I have no faith in Landon and this team. God, it's 7 minutes of extra time. And go USA. That's all I have to say.
yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Definitely had a fun weekend here, so hopefully we'll have some more news for you on Wednesday. By the way, still, if you've got ideas for our new show name, please send them to us because we have nothing.
The clock is ticking. The clock is
yeah,
ticking.
we have to change the show's name by the 15th since everything's opening back up. So if you got anything, send it to us. But otherwise, we'll see you back here on Wednesday. We love you. You know the drill. Keep the fire.
At the buzzer,